The law of karma is perhaps the most fundamental law to describe this impermanent world we live in. It has many aspects, but is fundamentally quite simple. Karma is a Sanskrit word that means action, which automatically suggests reaction. In other words, karma is nothing other than the law of cause and effect. It concerns everything in existence in our world, for everything is the result in various ways of a multiplicity of cause-effect relationships. Another way just as accurate to understand this is the very real fact that nothing in this temporal and impermanent world exists by itself outside of any form of causality. What could perhaps be referred to as the almost meaningless concept of self-existence has to do with existences that aren't part of this world outside of the reach of our time-space bound conceptual intelligence. Now, consciousness is bound to this world for a variety of reasons, one of which being attachment. As I have mentioned elsewhere, consciousness or soul is something that naturally seeks to expand its scope of consciousness. It seeks to expand what it is. To do that in those realms, plans, or dimensions that are in a sense below its own, the soul needs a vehicle that belongs or that is made of the matter belonging to these realms. This is the basic idea of incarnation. There is absolutely no other way the soul can become increasingly conscious of anything going on in those realms because its energies are fundamentally different from those realms. The nature of the soul is ever free from karma, that is, earthly, temporal, samsaric karma, precisely because it contains nothing that belongs to this world. But by incarnating, by seeking to expand its consciousness cyclically in our realm of impermanence, relativity, and time, the soul becomes bound to this world, attached to its psychical matter, until its expansion is sufficient to impose its own energies on those of matter. Before that has been accomplished, the soul in incarnation is dominated by the energies of matter. Energies whose forms are, at all time and in all circumstances, the results of karmic links. Being dominated by matter, it completely loses sight of its own nature and falls under the illusion of being matter. Again, the soul's nature never changes. Only the temporary karmic circumstances the incarnated consciousness is forced to experience do. Now, why is the soul forced to experience those circumstances? Because karma is a law and cannot be avoided. In incarnation, all circumstances exist as the result of this law of causality, not only observable physical circumstances, but also psychical ones. Where we are born, who are the souls who are our parents, siblings, and surroundings, of what quality are our physical and psychical bodies, etc., all this is karmic. All this is the result of various multi-directional chains of causality the incarnated consciousness has initiated or has taken part in, and therefore has attached itself to at some point in its long history of earthly incarnations. The law is cause and effect, not luck or bad luck, not existential lottery, not reward or punishment. There is no special obligatory destiny outside of the law of karma. Now, this may sometimes be hard to accept, especially if someone's life circumstances are very difficult, cruel, apparently unfair. But rare are the people who have an accurate knowledge of the very, very long, sometimes very dark history of their own soul. No soul or consciousness is new. No consciousness incarnates in this world outside of the law. Yet, no consciousness is irretrievably bound to any particular earthly karma. It is only so circumstantially, and those circumstances are all impermanent. Choices are made every moment by the incarnated consciousness, even if the choice is merely the next thought one chooses to entertain. And all thoughts are also karmic or causal by nature, and thus necessarily impact what may or may not be possible right away or much later.